Vroom, 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 vroom. Honk, honk. Get in, losers. We're going struggling. Vroom, 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 vroom. Hello, friends, and welcome to another ride in the struggle bus, where every wheel is an empty triangle. Today, we are back with Game 3 of our tournament reports. If you watch the other two, you will know that we left off with a record of 2 wins and 0 losses, which is a pretty awesome place to be. Round 3, I'm playing against another 2K AGA rated player. His name is Jonathan. I have played him before in the online league that I play in. Our games are typically pretty close when we play online, but it's been a while since I've played him. But either way, we're running hot, and so I was ready to jump into this game. We are black this game, which is a nice change of pace. So let's go jump into the game and see how it goes. Okay, so here we are, and again, I am black this game, and so I go and try the mini Chinese, which often I get pincered here, and I, of course, do get pincered. And so we just jump into 3-3. Our opponent does the very expected variation. We pull back, he blocks, we connect, he pulls back, and we jump. This is all fairly standard stuff. And unsurprisingly, he then came and approached my 3-4 stone. I've played this opening a lot. People have played this against me a lot. I'm very used to this style of game. But when I attached under, instead of our opponent playing the Hane, which is what I expected, he went and did this variation, which I'm less familiar with, but that is fine. So we played here. He Hane'd. We extended. He extended. I decided to take this turn. He extended, and I took this turn. So after the game, he said that, I guess he knows this variation a little better. He says that typically black would play here. But I decided to play here because I figured this threatens to take the Hane at the head of 2 so that we could build off of the 4-4. And if white extended here, I probably would have extended one more time and then Tanuki'd from here. But that's not what happened. White decided to take the turn to develop the bottom, which makes perfect sense to me. And so I then went and took the Hane at the head of 2. Our friend did Hane, and I played the double Hane. Again, the strength of Hane at the head of 2 or Hane at the head of 3 is you can usually get away with this double Hane because now there is a double Atari here. So if we're able to get this, then this is a great exchange for us. And so because of that, white typically can't look to do something like this because, again, white will end up losing stones here. White did take the Atari, but then extended. And I extended again, which, again, threatens the Hane at the head of 2. It also keeps white very over-concentrated. So I'm fine with these exchanges. So our friends then played the Hane here. And I thought this was a bit of an overplay. I was looking at this cut, and I think this was a cut that I'm interested in because playing here allows for the same double Hane. So I, in fact, did take this cut. White can't play something like this because then we are able to play this Atari, and if white connects, and that all dies. And so white could capture, and then we could play this, which either captures these two or these two. We could go that way. We could also just extend. This is probably what makes more sense. But either way, it's not a great position for white to be in. And, proof of that, our friend decided to descend, which plays an empty triangle, which is a little unfortunate. We descended as well, which still, again, threatens to kill these stones if white plays away and then I play here. Puts these stones in Atari, and if he connects, then the stones die. So he couldn't do that. He ended up playing here. It would have been better to play this move to take away a liberty here. I suspect he didn't do that because he was worried about this, because if we play the Atari and he connects, then we capture all of it. But it doesn't really matter too much because white can just capture these outside stones. And so then if I capture, this comes in Sensei, but then he gets the more important stone. So I suspect that's why he played here. But I think that was a bit of a mistake. So at this point, we've got these two stones that aren't too strong. We did take the cut, so we want to make sure we're getting some use for them. And I decided to jump here. So at this point, our friends played on the outside, which is consistent with what's going on, right? If he's going to play this initial Hane, he needs to make sure that he's doing something with it. And so he plays here to put pressure on these stones. Also, it turns this ladder on. If I ignore this, white's able to play this ladder now that he's extended. So we needed to be very aware of that. And so I decided to go and capture this stone. At this point, I was expecting our friends to play the bamboo breaker here with M7. And at that point in time, maybe we would have extended and just let these two stones go. We could have potentially looked at the Hane. But if he had played this, I probably would have given these two stones up and just been like, okay, this is a fair enough exchange. We get some great potential on the right side. We get a few more points, and we can get some strength in the center to look to reduce this later. I would have been fine with that. But our friend didn't play that. He played here instead. So I decided to play the bamboo joint just to get some more strength, stay connected, be able to run out. And then our friends played here. And I was pretty surprised at this move. It feels very passive. This move kind of just looks like it's to secure points because this group's strong enough, this group's strong enough. So this is just kind of, yeah, just looks like it's doing it to secure points. But I think it's a little early for that. And white could have potentially done something like this to make it a little tougher for these stones. But more importantly, playing this way, it's playing in the wrong direction. It's obvious that the game is eventually going to start to focus on what's going on over here. And so we want our stones going in that direction. So that's why I thought it made sense for white to play a move like this rather than play this, because that allows me to push and have our stones start going in the interesting direction. So we did extend, and white played this Hane. We obviously connected here, and then white played this Hane, and we were able to Hane as well. Because we've got a lot of liberties, we have a lot of strength, and white does not have the same. White can't take a cut like this, because then we can go and capture these stones. Yes, this one stone will die, but there's a lot bad going on there for white. So white decided to extend, and I decided to extend. And white decided to extend, and I decided to extend. I don't think white can get away with any of these Hanes because this cut is just much too dangerous. And so I think white does need to respect that. So white extended. I extended, and white extended one more time. And now that it's no longer, if we extend, now that it's no longer a Hane on the head of 3, right? Hane at the head of 4 just doesn't do the same thing. I decided, okay, let's just get a little more strength to make sure that this outside group is okay. We have this cut that we care about. I wanted to make sure that we were fixing this cut as actively as possible. I decided to just play here. Now, if white tries to take the cut, we're going to be able to capture the stones. That was the intent of this move, but also just gets us some eye space, helps us move towards a more empty side of the board. I didn't want to just keep on giving white strength here. So white had also seen enough and decided to approach here. And there are, a few common responses to this. We can tanuki, we can just pull back, we can kick, we can pincer, or we can go, tanuki. And I considered all of these, but what I eventually settled on was the pincer. And there's a couple reasons for that. Reason one, again, I think this is going to be the, obviously the next interesting area of the board. So I want to have stones that go in that direction. But also, I intended on doing the variation. I expected white to jump in. I was going to do this variation and get some more strength facing this potentially weak group. I wanted to continue to attack this little J group here. So that was the intent of me playing the pincer. Of course, our friend wanted no part of that and decided to jump out. Makes perfect sense to me. As white, that's probably what I would have played as well. So then I pull back and play here. and white goes and does this variation, which is one that I don't see too much these days, but when I was first learning to play is one that I did see quite often. So we went and did this variation, and white finished it off with this knight's move, which is the Joseki variation, whether or not it's good on this board, right? Because Joseki assumes that this part of the board is empty. So I can't say if this is better for white or black. It feels a little better for white, I think. But it's still okay for black. And then I did this little probing move, which can be a little annoying at times with this variation. Because if white blocks here, then we can do this. But again, this assumes that there are no stones over here. But I was very surprised when our opponent played here, allowing me to cut through. I think this was a pretty big mistake, because now we've got this really big corner. It's a really big side. Yes, white is very strong on the outside, but that strength is facing really not anything too important. There's really no way to develop off of this. It's facing a strong group for black, and yeah, maybe it's helping this weak group, but it's really not doing it in an efficient way. So white connected here, and then I was trying to figure out what's the best way to fix this cut. You know, we can just look at connecting, but then potentially this is an issue. I was considering extending. I was considering a lot of things, but at the end I decided to just play this tiger's mouth to give us some good eyes, give us some good shape and eye space in the corner in case, in case white tried something funky on us. White played the Atari here. We connected. White pushed through. We blocked. And then very surprisingly, white cut here. And I don't think this move works. At the time, I didn't think the move worked. So I took the Atari. He descended. I connected. He took the Atari here. I connected. He pushed. And I played this connection. White's not going to be able to get two ice with this group. This group is just dead as long as, both surrounding groups are alive. But our bottom right is alive. Our top is alive. And so these stones are dead. So at this point in time, I knew it was my game to lose. White doesn't have a lot of points on this board. And this corner and side and corner and side are likely going to be enough points to win this game by itself. Just as long as this group stays healthy and just as long as this doesn't turn into something huge, I think we are in the driver's seat for this game. So our friends played this move. Seems perfectly reasonable. And so now I had to decide, do I want to go reduce down here? Do I want to invade here? Do I want to do something to link up here? And I decided I wanted to make sure that this group was nice and strong. So I played this. This is a big move in its own right. We haned, he extended, and then I decided to protect this cut. Part of this was a mistake. Part of this is I thought that I could now play e3 to either kill these 3 stones or these 2 stones, but it was a complete misread. And you'll see it later in the game. I feel like I'm all smart and play that move, but it just doesn't work. That's why I played this. So, I mean, it's a fine move in its own right, but I played it for the wrong reason, which is a little frustrating, but that's fine. So then our friend plays this peep. Couple options here. We can just do the gross connection. We can look at the tiger's mouth, but in this case, I chose to just extend. Move towards the group that I want to get a little stronger. It threatens the hane at the head of 2, and then so our friend extends. It was at this point that I was like, okay, do I keep on extending to try to connect up, or just leave this as it is? And I decided to leave it as it is. And so then the question again comes back to, do we want to invade here or do something here? And I decided to extend down. I think part of that was, again, because I thought that I had e3. So I think a lot of the decisions I made down here were because of that. But this does feel like a sente move, because it does look to reduce one of white's larger areas. Again, I don't think if white lets me completely destroy this while getting a big corner here, I don't think that's going to be enough, and vice versa. So we played here, white attached, and then I played this hane. Similar. This is similar to the last game where I just, I play these Hanes. You want to make sure that it, stays a little tricky. If white plays here, then we get this Atari and we get to connect, and now white loses a ton of points here. And if white does, pretty much anything else, then we just get to connect. Of course, white did play here. I decided to play this instead. White blocked, and I tanuki. I decided, we can do this later. This actually isn't big enough for now, so I decided to go reduce this, because I thought, again, as long as we've already reduced this a little bit, as long as this doesn't turn into anything huge, I think we're going to be fine this game. So white Hanes, and we cross cut. So let's go over some invasion stuffs here, backing it up a little bit. So the goal here is we want to invade this area. So there are a few options. There are a few things we can do. So you can decide, do you want to invade? Do you just want to reduce? If we're looking to just reduce, we could probably play the shoulder hit. That would be fine. If we're looking to invade, you're generally going to want to identify the biggest open area, and then another strategy we can do is attach to one of the strong stones. We don't want to attach to weak stones, because then it makes both your stone and their stone weak, but they start off as weak, so it would help them out. But if there's a strong stone, you don't care if it gets stronger. It was already strong. And so that's what we decide to do here, is we attach to a strong stone. But it's interesting because we attach with a weak stone. So if we can get this strong, then that's really great. And then playing this crosscut, this is a strategy that we can do where it complicates things. For this invasion, we can sacrifice a bunch of stones. Just as long as something lives, we'll be fine. But white can't sacrifice any of their stones. If any of these stones die for white, then this is a huge success. So we're willing to make things really complicated and sacrifice stones, as long as we can use those stones to get meaningful Ataris and whatnot. So we played this crosscut, white extended. We decided to take this Atari and then connect here. What's nice about this is this comes in Sente. If white tries something like this, if we extend here, these two stones die because they're going to fall short on liberties. So playing this way, playing with this crosscut after white extends, we get to take this Atari and then connect. And it's worth noting, it doesn't matter which way white extends. We can do it the same way. Again, this comes in Sente, and white's going to need to capture this stone. And then we could jump in here. So it really doesn't matter what direction white went with it. So we played here, and white chose to extend. We blocked, and white came back and captured the stone. We're not done here. We're certainly not alive yet. So we need to make sure that we are still doing things to get this group to be alive. I think it makes sense. We've got two kind of directions we can go. We can go this way. We can go this way. And so because of that, and from a liberty standpoint, this group's pretty strong. From a shape standpoint, it's pretty strong. I figured I could get away with some things. And so I decided to play this shoulder hit as a means of pressuring these two stones and strengthening these two stones. White pushed, and we pushed. So I'm fine with this exchange. Gets us more liberties, makes it so that we're more connected with this group. And then white decided to make some shape here, because again, white needs to make sure that that this group is alive. So we still have two directions that we can go, but I don't think it would be pertinent to Tanuki here, and so I decided to play this move. This looks to isolate the stone. If white plays away, we could Hane or just Hane to connect. That's kind of the intent of this one. And then white played here. So now white is threatening to kill these two stones, but that really doesn't matter too much to me. These two stones are not important as long as this group is okay and this group is okay. And so because of that, I just want to make sure the groups are okay. I played this move. White didn't respond, so I don't think anything is urgent over here. So it's probably just this group that we want to do something with. And so I decided to play a move, a pretty standard looking move. It's a nice shape, gives us some eye space here, looks to potentially connect to these two stones. And I was feeling more and more in control as this game went on. So white attached there, and we just extended. When you get attached to, you want to consider either playing the Hane or extending. And if you're in a position of strength, you should Hane. If you are not in a position of strength, you should extend. I'm very much not in a position of strength here. I mean, this group is okay, but it's certainly not strong enough to dominate fights here. So we're just going to extend to give us more liberties, fewer cuts, and also extends our eye space. White takes the time to come back and capture these 2 stones, but again, I don't think this is that big. I am a-okay with white playing these 2 moves to capture these stones. So there's no need to do anything with that. I just took this turn, which fully connects these stones up. Now these are pretty much fully connected up, so this center group is okay, this top group is okay. And looking at the board again, we are way up in points here. This right side and both corners and top now is just going to be too big for white to combat. We also have 12 or so points in this corner, and then however many points we're going to get here and here, which isn't going to be too much, but all we have to do is beat what white gets down here and up here and then here. Like, white really isn't getting much on this board. Lots of lines on this board. Hopefully it all makes sense to you guys. But moving on, white threatens to disconnect, we connect, and then plays this move. And I think any response works from us here. But I just wanted to keep it super simple, and I wasn't going to stress out to find like the perfect move that gets me the exact amount of points I should get, because it's possible that this works, but why do that? I just played this. I know this 100% works. Maybe we lost 3 points on it, but it's completely moved. White wedges, we Atari, and then choose to connect this way, which threatens to capture this stone and looks to link everything up. If white had played here, we could have done something like this, and it's going to be tough for white to escape that. So I thought we were nice and connected there. White takes the turn. That's fine, and we decided to just play this very simple move to connect up. But we should be nice and alive now. I think we already have 2 eyes. If not, we can fully connect. So this is all fine and good. White tries something here, but I don't think anything is going to work. And at this point in time, like we're pretty much in endgame. There really isn't too much exciting going on, and nothing crazy happens here except this. This was me being all smug. I was like, haha, I've got this huge move, and oh my god, how many points is it? And then White just played here, and I was like, oh, none of it works. But that's okay. We are ahead enough in this game that it just doesn't matter, and we continue going on in endgame, and then eventually we get to, where do we get to? I know I'm going through this quick because there just isn't much. We get to here, and my opponent resigns. This was kind of played as a slight bit of time Suji, even though it only adds 10 seconds. I thought that there was potentially, with that, going to be a shortage of liberties if I played here or here. Looking at it afterwards, it doesn't really. I don't think it really does much. White can just capture and everything's fine. But I had already counted and saw that I was up by 30 points or so, and I have to assume White had counted as well, and so yeah, he decided to resign at this point in time. So I was really happy with that, right? Because that puts us at 3-0. But more importantly, this whole game was a big confidence booster because I felt like I was just in control the entire game. Both of the other games, I guess the game against Eric, it looked like I was in control, but it was a pretty stressful game. It took that took a lot of heavy reading and fighting to get to where we got to in that game. And the game against Austin was just a brain burner. And so it was nice to just have a game where it just felt like I was in control the entire time. Again, once I played here, once I got this move, even though AI says black is barely up right now, black is up by like 3 points. Very quickly, I think like here it says now black is up by 8 points, but it's still very much a game. But for whatever reason, like once I got this move, let me erase that arrow. Once I got this move, it really felt like I was in control and was able to, come up with a plan, get that plan to work. All of the exchanges seemed to go the way I wanted them to go. There was no trickiness. I didn't fall into any traps. It felt like a good game that I was in control in. So it was nice for that. So yeah, so now we are 3-0. And so we get to play one more game to see if we can go undefeated. Get that amazing 4-0. It would feel great. But looking at the standings and whatnot, I knew that there was a good chance that I was going to be playing against a 1-don player, but I was perfectly fine with that. That was something I was looking forward to. So if you're looking forward to that as well, you'll have to see if that's what ends up happening in the next game and come back and see if we're able to get there and get our 4-0, because that would be pretty fantastic. Anyway, as per always, thanks for coming out for another ride in Struggle Bus where every wheel's an empty triangle. Have a good one, guys.